Question number 23 of law of contract regarding what do you understand by innovation and what are the rules in this connection. And as already we have discussed regarding that, in spite of that, again we'll discuss the very question how it deals. So regarding innovation, we have certain rules, that is regarding alteration, remission, waiver and restore, as it is found under section 62, section 63, section 64 and section 65 of Indian Contract Act. And regarding novation, that is the new agreement to replace the old agreement by mutual consent of the parties, so they can also make any kind of alteration or change in the existing agreement or contract, so they can remit or they can waive each other by making such alteration, or they can restore the very agreement, and that is regarding the very time of delivery or regarding the very place of delivery of the goods or regarding the very price already they have agreed in the previous agreement or contract, which they can alter or they can remit or waive. So regarding the very quantity of the goods to be delivered or regarding the very quality of the goods to be delivered. So another rules that is governing under novation, that is merger. So here certain inferior rights are merged with the superior rights. For example, a, an agreement between the tenant and the landlord. Suppose the landlord's land revenue was paid by the tenant, and the tenant wants to purchase the land, and if it is agreed by the landlord, then the inferior right of the tenant of the ownership of such property or land would automatically merge with the superior rights of the landlord, and by that way the tenant would be the owner of that land or that property. And regarding another principle, that is of unauthorized alteration, and such unauthorized alteration, if it is done by any one of the party, then it will vitiate the contract. For example, A takes certain loans from a particular bank at a interest of 5% as it is being agreed in the agreement or contract, but subsequently without the knowledge of A, the bank increased the very amount of interest to 7% without the knowledge of A, and such alteration would be considered as unauthorized alteration, so it will vitiate the contract. And regarding question number 24, that what do you understand by the term quasi-contract, which are quasi-contracts under Indian Contract Act? And regarding that, we could discuss certain roles like the claims for necessary supplies to incapable persons to make contracts, such as minor, lunatics, and those dependents as it is provided under section 68 of Indian Contract Act, for which the very person who supplied such necessaries to such minor or lunatic or dependent could claim for recovery of such amount spent or supplies, and section 69 of Indian Contract Act provide regarding reimbursement of persons paying money due by another. So if anybody paid any amount due to another by any person, then he can claim for reimbursement of such money paid which is due to another by on behalf of that person. And so also another kind of quasi contract is falling under section 17, and that is regarding obligation of persons enjoying benefits of non-gratuitous acts, and that is provided as under section 70. And in connection to that, we would like to discuss one important leading case, and that is Damodar Mudaliar versus Secretary of State of India 1894, where a particular irrigation tank in the village land was constructed by the petitioner. So, regarding the very expenses he made for such construction of the irrigation tank for the villagers on the village land, he could claim that amount as he made such for the benefits of the village farmers, and which act is a non-gratuitous act. So here the obligation of the defendant is to reimburse or to pay that money spent on the construction of the irrigation tanks. And under section 71 another kind of quasi contract is that responsibility of the finder of goods, and in that connection as provided under section 71 we would like to discuss one important leading case, and that is of Hollins versus Fowler. So, Hollins found a diamond in front of the shop of Fowler, and he deposited that same diamond with Fowler, and he tried to search and to find out who is the real owner of the diamond. And ultimately, as before, as after he could not found the real owner of the diamond, so he claimed return of the same from Fowler, and Fowler refused to hand over such diamond to the finder who was Hollins. So here Hollins, as per the provision of section 71, is the person who can claim for that good as he was the real founder of that goods. And another type of quasi contract that also falls under Section 72 of Indian Contract Act, and which provides that money paid or thing delivered by mistake or under coercion must be returned to the person who wrongly or by mistake or under coercion paid the money or delivered the goods. So, in that connection, we will discuss the very important leading case, and that is Greenless Bank versus Center for Development of Technology, and it is a case of 1997, and where an amount of 1 lakh by mistake was credited into the account of Center for Development of Technology by the Greenlands Bank. Instead, actually, the bank had to credit rupees 10,000 into the account of the defendant. By mistake, they credited rupees 1 lakh into the account of the defendant. So, here the bank is entitled for the return of rupees 90,000, which by mistake was credited into the account of the defendant. So, here the very rule as provided under section 72, that money paid or thing delivered by mistake or under coercion must be returned, as it also falls under quasi contract. So, section 69, section 70, section 71 and section 72, they all consist of provisions relating to quasi-contract as provided under Indian Contract Act. And regarding the very question of supervening impossibility by which a person could not discharge his obligation regarding performance of the contract, and which is otherwise known as the doctrine of frustration, that supervening impossibility and otherwise supervening events which make impossibility of performance of the contract or to discharge the obligations regarding the contract, that to some extent we already have discussed regarding the very question that is explained and illustrate fully the very doctrine of supervening impossibility in the performance of contract, or write a comprehensive essay on the doctrine of frustration. And regarding that, we would like to discuss in detail in our upcoming videos. Also, we will discuss the other provisions like remedies for a breach of contract and the very principles underlining it, and so also the very difference between liquidated damages and penalty, and what exactly meant by quantum merit. So also the very distinctions between executed and executory consideration, and actual breach and anticipatory breach, all will discuss in our upcoming video in detail.